Hi, Paula. Let's do a sound check to make sure that everything is working with the sound.
Can you hear me?
Okay, kill the mic for that computer for the projector. Just
Okay,
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
perfect.
You hear
Yes,
me?
sir.
Hola, Elezar, ¿estás aquí para la junta?
I was expelled from this room.
verdad.
Never.
De botán.
Why, it wasn't hilarious.
Blasphemy.
Ajá.
This is not
Hi, it's Jim. I hope you can hear me. My video is disabled by the host, so please undisable it. Thank you.
Undisable
Oh,
it.
thank you, Jim.
That's so
Let
good.
me,
Two prefixes.
Enable?
I don't know.
Enable, yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah. This is great.
I've-
Undisable.
Conceivably, I was attempting to be humorous.
Well, yeah, I got it, Jim.
Thank you.
We can hear you. Let me just see. I don't know if it's like something in their settings, because,
Is it on this computer?
well, it's
Like sometimes
the-
when they sign on and they don't
Like the-
disable the camera, then you cannot do anything about it. So maybe it's a good idea for him to,
No,
Sign on
it says
that.
that because the host has disabled it, so it's you.
Mm,
I mean, I could sign out and sign back in again, but
I think it's, let me just see.
you should be able to click on the camera next to my name among the panelists and turn on the camera.
oh, yeah, yeah, oh,
Hmm.
yeah.
It just says make host, make co-host, change role to attendee, allow to multi-pin, put on hold, remove, or change.
you-
channel.
Oh, it doesn't enable, wait.
No,
let's-
I think it's like on the back end Zoom settings. Let me check.
Yeah, or the other thing is you could just make me a co-host. That might
This
work.
is true.
Or a panelist.
Oh,
on-
No,
Hold on.
I should be I am a panelist.
Right, you are, yeah.
I just made Wayne
A co-host?
yeah, or a panelist because he was on.
Oh, okay,
Right.
the
perfect.
attendee list. Who's?
No, that's a public map.
Oh.
Mhm. I'll make you a co-host for now, Jim, so that you can turn on the video.
I will promise to behave.
That's We won't. limit-
There he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also am getting a message that I cannot start my video because the host has stopped it.
Yo lo voy a poner a co-host a todo el mundo, no te apures.
Y ya, y así se arregla.
I'm making you a co-host also, Wayne, just, if you want to turn on the video. You don't have to.
Okay.
But it might be like you
But
said. that-
normally as a panelist, you can turn on your video.
Yeah, it's something on the back end settings that we have to just fix.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, you may have the thing, that, you're not allowing the panelists all panelists to do video. But here we are.
But here we are.
Oh.
So we just wanted, I know, we're still waiting for quorum here in person, but I just wanted to take a second. I think we're recording, so we should be good, like for the
We are
video.
recording, or
Okay.
that's what, yes, we are.
Thank you. I
And
just
we're
want,
live.
thank you, to introduce our two interns. They just wanted to say hello. We'll do a formal introduction, at a later point, but if you want to say hello, say your name.
Right there, you can say hello.
Yeah, you need
If they talk, this should be,
Yeah, it'll move with.
it'll move, they have to talk.
Háblale.
Oh, there you are, yeah.
Oh my God, man.
Mira, aquí en esta cámara.
Right here.
Okay, so these are two interns from the George Washington Educational Campus, and they'll be
That's
helping
wonderful, wonderful.
back end.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you.
All right, that's it, girls.
Short and sweet. Gracias por quedarse. La pizza todavía no ha llegado, pero. So we did order, sorry, I was talking in Spanglish. So we did order some pizza for this time around. We're just waiting on it, so TBD. We haven't officially started yet, so I'm just gonna go back on,
Ay, a mi favor.
but I think we
please.
should get started in a couple of minutes.
He's trying to be funny.
He's trying to be funny.
The sound went off.
Tú estás con
Now
Idanis,
it's back. Yeah.
Department of Transportation.
DOT, can I get one of those?
Of course, yeah.
No, no, not that one.
Take that logo off.
Yeah, I had,
I don't want the world.
No, ya yo
I had
sé,
gone on,
ya yo sé con quién tú trabajas.
You'll be competing.
Vamos con
yes,
pensar.
I think we have just like a few more people that were,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only
I
reason
think
why I
we-
came, because I knew you were gonna be chairing, and I wanted to get out of the experience.
You could be my chair backup. You've done this before. No,
I
no,
will
Daryl's here
remember,
also, so we're like
I
co-chair.
will remember, yeah, once upon a time, when there were rocks, tomatoes, rotten tomatoes and everything thrown up people, yeah, back then.
I didn't
We won't
see,
name names.
yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't see, anyone else saying, like, I know Wayne was coming online. I think a few of the other
Yeah, I don't
chairs
think
have exceptions, but I
Wayne
didn't
is
see
not
anybody.
coming for sure.
No, yeah,
I mean,
he's
he's
on
right
the
there.
It's
Zoom,
right there.
but I know we're limited on time, so I don't want to
Put
take
something
too
in the
much
chat.
time. No, that was, Wayne to promote. Mhm. That's the thing, because there's a chat here and there. So what we see is the old chat from that one,
Oh, because
because that's on
you'd
the
have to open
display.
it there for it to go off.
Mhm.
Oh, I see. Yeah, for sure. More than-
Hi.
Technology.
So we'll just wait like 3 more minutes before we get started, just to honor everybody's time.
Yeah.
So we'll just go on mute for now.
Ah, pero no, no han traído el café todavía.
Cool night.
Okay, guys, thank you for your patience and for jumping on the Zoom. This is our executive meeting. Our chair, Kathy, is not able to join in today, but I am here, Maria Hernandez, the first chair, joined by Daryl, our second chair. We have our other chairs, yeah, public safety, Eliasar, perdón. Bueno from public safety and Luana Ferreira from, what is it, Parks? My bad.
Public park.
Mary.
Okay. Mary, I see you have a question.
I'm just wondering why I can't,
I'll make you a
Video.
co-host. I'll make all of you co-hosts just for screen sharing purposes. Apologies on that. We'll get it fixed for our next meeting. But thank you for flagging. So again, this is our January Executive Committee meeting. Thank you for joining in. You should all have the agenda. So I'll get us started here with the chair report. Again, Kathy's not able to join in, but we'll share the information on her behalf. And I think I wanted to start off just with voicing that we're continuing our Uptown tour. And the next stop in the series is our requested backstage tour of the United Palace. So that's coming out fairly quickly. It's next Thursday, I believe, the 25th at 6:30. It might not be Thursday, but it's the 25th. Let me double
25th?
check. Yeah, and I'll make sure, yeah, next
What time is it
Thursday
again?
at 6:30. So we've capped it at 50, so we have more than enough space if you'd like to bring someone. I'll share and make sure that it's included in our newsletter so that we can get the head count going for the RSVPs. Any questions on that one?
Yeah, what's up, Uptown?
Oh, so the Uptown tour series is an initiative that we kicked off, I believe, last fall. With making sure we're all acquainted with any local community spaces here in the area. Not only community spaces, but like cultural institutions in the area and making sure we have access and know the services that they provide. So I think we've visited a few places by now, the Dyckman Farmhouse, the Jamel Mansion,
Hispanic
the
Society.
Hispanic Society. Yeah, it was raining that day, but we were there. And I think that one had a pretty great turnout also. So the next stop now is the United Palace. Will you be there?
Like the attics and.
Yeah, they're giving us a backstage tour, so we'll
Okay.
have, I think, we set it up with Mike Fiddleson over there. So we're looking forward to having your RSVPs. And again, it's capped at 50, so feel free to RSVP for more than one person if you'd like to bring anyone along. And I'll make sure we send that out in our newsletter to come. And I think the next item here is save the date. So this is our next Meet the Board event. It's going to take place on February 2nd. That's all the information I have for now. So please save the date and more information to come. February 2nd, let me just double check what day that is. It's a Friday. So hopefully you all can make it. And again, this is more so to promote the community board and make sure that the public is informed on what services and resources we're able to provide as a volunteer base. You okay on that one? Okay. So just in case, I want to make sure I'm not skipping anyone. Let me just promote. Okay, and thank you all for joining, even on the Zoom at least, so then we can make sure we discuss anything here. And I'll make everyone co-host just for screen sharing. Okay, so I think that covers my chair report. I think there was something that I just wanted to mention. And I was gonna say, thank you, Wayne, for the input on the City of Yes. I know that I'm also attending the Borough Board this month on Thursday morning. So we'll be voting on a few items and that's on the agenda. So appreciate you sharing the context there. There's going to be a member survey to come. So more information will follow, but just making you all aware to keep an eye out for the newsletter. So hopefully we'll include the link in there for a member survey. Just more of your input on what we can work on and what we can do moving forward as a board. Something that I wanted just to pitch, and it's more brainstorming for now, is a community event. I know one of the tasks that we have on the agenda to be completed by June 2024, hopefully, is the finalizing the resource directory for CB12. So I wanted to pitch something along the lines of a community event or a community resource fair in alignment with the resource directory. So I'm just putting it out there for now, and then we can speak about it more. But I'd love to hear your input, Maria.
Thank you, Mari. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
So it's interesting that you mentioned the resource fair, because that's something that I had wanted to do maybe about a year or two ago. And it was a little bit hard to kind of get everything in place. But I think you're right now, kind of that the resource directory is kind of getting updated and so on. Yeah, happy to kind of chat offline, because the committee actually did quite a bit of work on some of that. And that can at least serve as a starting point for you.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And thank you for mentioning it, because I think when I brought it up, like on the back end, your name came up. So I'm definitely gonna touch base, and we could do some back end planning and brainstorming there. But I think is opportune time, just because the resource directory is being worked on, and hopefully it's something that even if we can't do for before June, like we can do something in the fall and maybe pitch it with the new budget at that time. So thank you. So we'll definitely circle back with more information. But again, the Uptown Tour next Thursday, the 25th at 6:30. We'll send the link for RSVP and a save the date for the Meet the Board event on February 2nd, which is a Friday. I think that wraps it up for the chair report. And I'll pass it off to Ebenezer for the district manager's report. But I think before he takes the mic, if you all had any questions on member attendance, feel free to email me offline. I do have an updated attendance sheet that Paola was able to work on. So if you all have any questions on your member participation, just keep me posted. Paola did update that form. Ebenezer, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Always is a pleasure being here as your district manager and give my report. The first one, I want to call your attention. You may notice that the office is only sending one email per week with all information. This is an idea that our chair, Catherine, had since last year. And little by little, we were able to implement it after we have the new branding and the new logo and everything. So the idea is to have, one email a week with the announcement of what's going to happen in the community board, the meetings that happen every week, with the link connecting to that particular meeting. Today, there was a little problem that Wayne brought to our attention, that the link was not working. It happens that in order to work in Zoom, we need to have all the meetings created for every month. And it happens that for the month of January, it was not in the Zoom. So I need to create it this morning very quickly. And I forgot to turn on the cameras. That's why we had this problem with the video. I'm going to review that tomorrow to make sure that all the meetings going forward, they have the video on. Thank you, Simari, that you have the idea to promote everyone to co-host so we can resolve the problem, because otherwise we have to kill this meeting, reset this Zoom, and then reopen the meeting again. But the purpose is to, in one email, have the link to the meetings. I have all the important events that may happen in the district, and also the announcement with resources, that like a job posting or anything that may happen. So it's ordered in that way. So we're working in learning and navigating the Miller Lite system, because it's like doing, maybe 10 emails at once. And each little square that you see there is one email that require attention. And if the picture is too big, we need to reduce it, et cetera, et cetera. So we're working on that. We're learning as we go. It's getting better. People are saying that they like it because it's saving emails, and also it's looking good. That's one part of my report. The other one is the intern. You saw that we had two new interns that started last week, Ruth and Francelli. They are from the George Washington high school, and they are very interested in learn. And Paola is directly supervising them, and I oversee the whole operation to make sure that they get hands-on training, and they can help us as well. One intern that we had from the NIMIC since November it was November, say late October, November. He completed his turn last week. It was his last day. And finally, I want to share with you, I don't know if you can see it. Yes, you can see it here. This is the lapel that we designed upon request of Anthony. Anthony was the one who took the lead on this one, and helped us to get this lapel for everyone here at the board office. I'm sorry, for every board member, and also the people in the office as well. And I believe that Madam Chair going to be distributed at the general meeting. So we have this design, and we got it the delivery 2 weeks ago. And beautiful, with the new logo for people to put it on the jacket and said that probably that you are a member of the community board. Here at the office, we have been, making all the payments, all the arrangement here and there, and preparing every meeting, Paola and myself. I'm going to be out of the office next week. Paola going to be here at the office, taking care of all the business. Thank you very much. This is the end of my report. Is there any question? Wayne?
Yeah, thanks, Ebenezer. So, in addition to the matter you raised concerning the meeting, it's not that the link wasn't working. It's when you went to the link, you couldn't select the January Executive Committee. The earliest meeting you could select was February.
Mhm.
And something similar happened for I think the Land Use Committee meeting, where when you went to the email, and I agree, the single email that has a number of things in it, saves time. But when you clicked on it, you couldn't get any information on what was on the agenda, even though the agenda was provided, several weeks ago. So just in moving forward, I think we just need to make sure that, the links are connected to the proper meetings, and that instead of for all of the meetings saying the agenda will be available at the meeting, if the chairs have provided the agenda items, to have that information shown, because it's on the back of the calendar anyway.
Mhm. Yes, yes. We're working on that. And what happened, this morning is that the meeting for January was not created in Zoom. So the link goes to the first, what is there. It was not created for tonight. So I created very quickly, and then, the same link that was in the email, it was working. When you tried it, it goes straight to January, because it was the first one. But yes, we're working with that. I know Catherine helped for one meeting to put the agenda. So when you open, so we're working on that portion as well. So that's what I said. We are working with that. So be patient. That's the idea, that when you click the link to the meeting, you can have the Zoom and the agenda. That's the purpose. That we aiming to. Mhm.
I have one question here in person.
It's really not a question, it's a
Oh.
comment. It's really more of a comment. I think on the resources, or the resource directory,
Mhm.
and the slew of events
Mhm.
that our board can broadcast
Mhm.
to the community on hand, or whatever we can reach to, because we're very limited to the 1,000 or the 2,000 emails that we have within our purview. I suggest that we get more of a proactive approach in engaging a lot of activities that happen sort of like off the grid, but are just with inside of our community. If we were to go to the second floor on any given day, there's something happening just about every week. And so it's almost like the tales of two cities within the tales of two cities. It's almost like there's something parallel going on to what's happening in our world. So I don't have an answer, but I think that there are other organizations that are constantly busy having a bunch of events like Alianza or naming or whoever, whoever we can come up with. So that we can maybe just sort of like a phone call, a quick email.
Yeah.
Listen, send me your calendar.
Right.
Tell me what's going
Yeah.
on.
Like work
So
on the
we can-
outreach.
Yeah, 'cause-
To capture the info,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
No, thank you for that.
Michelle has her hand up.
I think Michelle, but then, Ebenezer, I was gonna say, the only thing we didn't go through was the meeting calendar, so maybe just like 1 more minute on that when we finish with the questions, is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Michelle?
Hi, Ebenezer. Thanks for your update on the interns. I wanted to see if you could give an update on the hiring for the third office position, like what's position we're hiring for and like what's the status of that job search?
Yes, we have only a resume for the part-time position. We need to create the job posting for Chinel's position, for the full-time. And you may recall, when we have that posting for the part-time, it was before the holiday. I went out on vacation. When I came back, I got sick. So we weren't able to do any interview. We're planning to do interview this month. And we're going to call a few candidates that sent the resume for the part-time position. But you can see, working with the interns and training them and dealing with the day-to-day and the meetings, make a little challenge to have a scheduled interview. But we planning to do this month for the part-time position, and also create the job posting for the full-time position as well.
Okay, and just a quick follow-up. So you're wanting to fill the part-time position first and then search for the full-time position?
That's the strategy that Catherine had in order to secure that we have a part-time position and can use the fund. Yes.
Got it. Okay, thanks for that information.
Mm-hmm.
Maria, last question for you before we go to the calendars really quickly.
Thank you, Simari. Thank you, Ebenezer. Similar question, but more so on the interns. Helpful to know kind of what they'll be working on. And if there's any way, I don't know, like particularly just thinking about Eliezer's comments around, doing community outreach and things like that. I know it's one of the things that we often want to do. So would love to hear kind of what they'll be working on. Thank you.
Yes, all depends on the intern. We had an intern last time that, he was, and last summer, they were helping us in shredding the old documents. And, all depend on the capacity of the intern. These two interns that we have today, they are very knowledgeable and they want to learn a lot. So they helping us in updating the resource directory. Right now they are calling, making phone calls to make sure that the information that we have in the resource directory is accurate, and they will transfer the directory to the new format with the new branding that we have. So they already start working last week on that. And they have an idea, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, we can use the intern, but also depend the limitation of the intern, because these interns that we have now, they come around 3 o'clock and they leave it at around 6. We're trying to stretch it to help us setting, like at this meeting, you saw it tonight, and we try to help them to help us with the general meeting for the setting, but then they need to go. and they don't come that early. So let's see, we try to accommodate, but doing a reach out is one of the things that we have, and that is the main goal or the main job for the part-time position that Catherine has in mind.
Great, thank you.
And before we go to the calendar, I forgot to say that in order for any announcement go out in the weekly email, we must have it the Wednesday or Thursday before, because we prepare that email on the Friday before and scheduled to go out on Monday. And once it's in a schedule to go, edit that is a little challenge. So we need to have the information with time here, because sometimes the graphic need to be readjusted to fit in the email. Okay.
Thank you for that,
And
Ebenezer.
Ebenezer, just to clarify, the shredding is because you're digitizing things for the folks at home, right? Yeah. We're not hiding anything.
No, we're not hiding.
We're not hiding anything. Now, now that you mentioned that the shredding and the scanning, I forgot to mention in my report that I spoke last week with the company that is doing the scanning that we prepared in last summer. You may recall in September when you started that there in the room, in the bench, it was some boxes. So there was picked up by this company, and they scan everything. And I spoke with them in the order that we want to be arranged the final product. I had a phone call for them. They found some drawing. They asked me if we wanted. They said they're going to charge us a little extra for that. I told them yes, that we want to keep those drawings that was in the archive. So by the end, by March, we should have those documents with us, and maybe upload it to our website so people can see it and go back to the old archive. We're working. We're doing some progress.
It's moving in the right direction. So thank you.
Yes.
So I'll screen share very briefly so that we can go through, or if you have any suggestions for February's calendar here. I think that's, oh, sorry. Those are all the dates here. If you want to go off mute, if you have any feedback. If not, I'll toggle over to our March calendar. You don't see any hands raised or any questions. So I'll stop sharing for now. But again, just if you have any questions or feedback on the calendars, please reach out to Ebenezer for any edits. And I wanted to say thank you, Ebenezer, for ordering the pizza. So there is pizza here, guys. Too bad you're on Zoom next time. We are working on having something for general, but just flagging that most of the time we can't because of the space limitations. So thank you, Ebenezer, for getting that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And for your presentation. So Michelle, did you want to present anything? I just wanted to give you some time if you did. If not, it's okay, no pressure.
Yeah, I can present. I will share my screen. And okay, let me know if you see my screen.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to present Treasurer's report. It's pretty straightforward this month. There's not a lot of changes. Can everybody read this, or do you want me to zoom in a bit more?
If you want to zoom in a little bit,
Just
maybe.
a tad, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, too much. Well, that's good.
Right? It's like being at the eye doctors. Okay, so this data is actually from January 3rd. So not like from, a couple of days ago, but it's from like a week ago. And I'm presenting it to you on the 16th. As of the 3rd, we're 51% through the fiscal year, which starts in July and then runs through June. So this budget, it's always separated into 3 sections. PS, which is personal services, OTPS, other than personal services, and the lease. And I basically like to go through the changes month over month. It's actually interesting. I remembered I did not present to you in December because I did not have a crystal report in December to present. So I'm actually presenting the changes from November 20th till January 3rd. It's about a month and a half of time, and I'll just give you a snapshot around what we're liquidating in our budget. So we always liquidate amounts in PS. These are for full year positions to pay our full year staff members. In our case, it was about almost $18,000. So that's one of our biggest expenses, of course, the salary for the staff. There's an additional liquidated amount of $85 for a longevity differential. If you remember, that's for Paola because she's worked in her position for a certain amount of time. So that always pays out as well. And then there's also supper money, and that's only $8 liquidated between November 20th and now. And that's for the staff when they stay late for meetings. Those are the only changes in PS. Everything else in PS is the same from month over month. There's no difference. And I've tried to note with the stars, like these are the line items that are changing that I just talked you through. And with OTPS, there is a change in 412, which is the rentals, miscellaneous equipment. This is how we pay our copier lease. And I saw an additional $546 liquidated there. I assume, Ebenezer, this is just to pay the copier lease?
Yeah,
On the 412,
Yeah, yeah.
I think we need to use fund from there to complete the impress fund because there were not enough at that time in the impress fund, and we need to bring money to the check to do some reimbursement and also pay for the cleanup.
Oh, okay. So this is for 412, that $550 is not going to the copier. It's going to reimbursing people for cleanings.
Yeah, and also upon direction of our chairperson, we may be using those fund from that code to cover other expenses that we had, like in December, the gathering, etc. I believe those funds, Catherine wants to use it from there as well.
Got it. Okay, so for the $546 that's been liquidated, do you know if it's going towards cleaning or if it's going towards like the December party?
No, the 400, the 500, it was to complete the impress fund to reimburse for some money that our chair spent in the party, some taxes that she has to take. I was not there to help with the driving. Also some out of the pocket that she has to do there. And that is just to bring it to the impress fund that we need to bring money to reimburse ourselves. And also to reimburse me for the cleaning, that I advanced that. Like tomorrow, the lady gonna come, she's gonna clean, I'm gonna pay her from my pocket, and then I'm gonna get reimbursed when we have funds,
Okay, perfect. I will change this to reflect that, that, code 412 is being used for the party as well as the office cleaning. So I'll make a note of this and change it before sharing.
It happens this time, yes. Now, but you are correct when you said that the code 412 is used to pay the rental for the copy machine and also the stand machine. We pay for that with that code, the rental.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I think it'll be helpful just to note like, oh, this particular liquidated amount went towards the holiday party. Just so folks can understand that, yeah, it's being liquidated from 412, but it might not be for the copy machine. So that's helpful for me because I didn't know that either. But yeah, that's basically my report. Those are the only things that have changed. I'll make the changes. And I'm thinking about ways to share this report more widely. I don't know what the best forum for that would be. So if folks have ideas, and more widely, I mean like with members of the executive committee and members of CB12 in general. So if folks have ideas, just let me know.
I'll send you an idea.
Yes,
Thank you,
I just want to make a clarification in your report. The longevity and the SOPR expenditure that we have reflected in our Crystal report only applies to staff that are in a unionized staffs. You know, they receive a night shift differential, they receive longevity, and they receive SOPR. Staff that is not in the union do not receive that. It means the district manager doesn't get those benefits. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. And also I'm noticing, Ebenezer, like just looking at this, I don't think the interns are getting paid, right? Because there's nothing liquidated out of the unsalaried staff right now.
No, the interns are students that comes, the one that we have this afternoon, they come to get work experience. And the one we had last month, he was getting paid through a program in NIMIC. We didn't pay for his services here.
Perfect. That's super helpful to understand. Thanks. Questions from anyone else?
I don't see any other questions, but thank you, Michelle, for the detailed report.
Sure thing. Sounds good.
Appreciate it. So I think the next item on the agenda is going to be tabled, but I just wanted to confirm, Mary, the aging resolution that you were proposing, right? We're tabling for next month?
Yes, because, we'll discuss it at our, we'll vote on it at our committee meeting. Hopefully we'll have quorum. If not, then I'll come back again to exec. I just got the final draft, like 5 minutes before the meeting started.
No
So,
worries.
I haven't had time to review it, also, to be able to pass it on, so.
We'll circle back. Thank you. Ebenezer, did you have a question for that or are you okay?
No, Mari just said, I just get a phone call from Liz Reader saying that she just sent the resolution. She called me when I was doing my report.
Okay, no worries. So we'll definitely table it for next time around if we need to pass it here. So thank you, Mary, for the update. I think for now, I'll just pass it over to Wayne. I know you have to hop for another call, so I wanted to give you your 3 minutes first, if that works.
Thank you so much. So for the Land Use Committee, we will be presenting at next week's general meeting the resolution concerning the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity. And as I think I've pointed out a couple of times, this is one of 3 City of Yes zoning text amendments that the Department of City Planning is setting forth. We've already passed a resolution, I think summer of last year, on the first one, which was the City of Yes for carbon neutrality. This proposal has 4 goals, and under the 4 goals, there are 18 proposals. So it is somewhat involved, which is why I think in December, I sent the presentation that was shared with land use to the entire board, so everyone would have that for their reference. And earlier today, I resent the presentation as well as 2 PDFs, which are memos with a lot of Q&A. There is some confusion, and I can see that from reading some of the questions. That's a function of people mixing in questions from the City of Yes for housing opportunity, which is not yet on the table, with this current one, and even some questions on the prior one. But at the end of the day, the Land Use Committee really had questions with 4 of the 18 proposals, a lot of it having to do with the potential impacts of noise and nuisance, or the potential for displacement of residential units. So in the resolution, we point out that we are generally supportive of the zoning text amendment, but contingent upon some clarifications and modifications to those proposals so that they address our concerns. I will send a draft of the resolution, to the exec committee, not because we need you to vote on it, but because as we've discussed on a couple of occasions, the economic opportunity zoning issues sort of overlap with licensing and business development. And although I've shared the materials with our chairs, I haven't received any feedback. So the extent to which either of those committees has feedback on the resolution, anything they'd like to tweak, I think it's better for them to get it now as opposed to waiting for it to be distributed at, Friday afternoon. But it's, we spent a lot of time on it. I think city planning presented to us once and came back 2 subsequent meetings to answer questions. So if you go through the minutes, it's also a fairly thorough, discussion. The objective is basically to update and rationalize some of the zoning provisions, which, date back to 1961, so that they are more consistent. There's a lot of internal, inconsistencies in the zoning where, businesses that are somewhat similar are treated differently under zoning. So it's kind of to bring that up to date, but also there are businesses or types of business operations currently that aren't even mentioned, that they weren't even thought about or maybe didn't exist in 1961. So it's updating the document. But it needs to be updated in a way that takes into account the quality of life in residential areas, because much of this is going to impact residential areas that have commercial overlays, which is the definition of Washington Heights and Inwood.
Thank you, Wayne. I was definitely reading a bit more into it, and there's a lot in there, but I'm definitely going to touch base on my end, at least with Isidro for any licensing feedback, and I'll touch base on Joel for business development.
Right. And we recommended on at least 2 occasions that city planning speak to business development and to licensing in particular, because we point out that, there is a track record of residents complaining about noise and other nuisances that are generated by restaurants and bars. And the zoning changes will liberalize the kind of businesses that can operate in, the commercial zoning that we have. And our thought was, before you liberalize it, before you allow more types of businesses, you should get a sense of what the types of issues are, the type of noise and nuisance complaints, and what type of, efforts actually work to mitigate those. Right now, city planning is saying, well, the mayor's office is, they've got a method of doing that, but the mayor's office isn't a community-based organization. They're not a local resident. So they're really not hearing what those issues are. They really don't have to deal with it. And we think the zoning should be informed by sort of the real life issues and what has worked to address those real life issues.
Thank you, Wayne.
Questions?
Yeah, Wayne, the maybe 3-4 years back, back when Gail was the Manhattan VP, I remember vividly studied that I think the company's name was Beta something, in reference specifically to noise pollution and the generators of noise. I have a copy of that study. If it's helpful to you, maybe I can send it just for the heck of it, just for you to kind of like, refresh your memory. I remember specifically the grades to which restaurants were considered to be the biggest noise polluters, and they were not even top 10. This is then, so I'll send you the document in case that you feel is useful in the process of putting this document together.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see any other hands on the Zoom. Thank you, Wayne. So I'll pass it to you, Eliezer. If you'd like to
Good.
speak on public safety.
On public safety, well, we covered as usual, the, both precincts, data points, on the variations of crime, in our, both of our precincts, regions that they cover, uptown and uptown, mid uptown and the lower uptown. Almost covering to 157th Street, I believe it is. So they were obviously down in certain areas and on the upward, on the up in the other areas, it's usually around the robbery side, and especially on the cars, stealing cars and so forth. That was pretty much some of the complaints that we received from some community residents, especially in the areas of keep forgetting 190th Street in Fort Washington. That area is usually one of the most affected areas, and the Park Ford Triangle where they leave cars, abandoned cars, after they rip them off. So that's pretty much what the police department was discussing. And then the discussions around mopeds and e-bikes. So it happens that on the Senate floor, there's a bill. Let me read it to you exactly from where I got it from. Okay, here we go. It's a bill that would restrict the sale of lithium-ion batteries or refurbished lithium-ion batteries for the use of micromobility devices. I think the intent of this bill is to actually tackle the oversale of this mopeds and e-bikes. I think that in a market economy, you can't limit the type of sales or even, who you sell to, especially when it's under the guidelines and restrictions of the Department of Motor Vehicles, which calls for a certain number to be considered an e-bike, and you don't need a driver's license to ride it. But I think that it's a serious issue now, and it's been not handled through the angle of restricting the sales of the batteries, which is the heart and soul of these mopeds. We get a lot of complaints. There has been a couple of fatalities at 185th Street in St. Nicholas, and there was another one that I forget. I remember vividly. Yeah, there was two deaths of teenagers in both cases, of kids that they don't know any better. So I'm not as important as Wayne, so I'm gonna go to.
No.
Just teasing.
You have another bill there.
So I think that now finally, the elected officials are looking into trying and put a stop, or at least managing, this has become like a pest, it's just no matter where you go. Midtown is an uptown. As you know, Darryl. So go ahead.
I know you said the e-bikes don't require any sort of license, but do the mopeds require like a regular license or no?
No driver's license to ride them. Not insurance, no
Really?
tax. No, that's why they ride around like.
Some of them are the size of motorcycles,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, they drive around like the Duke of Hazzard. They have no.
They got flash, and it's like, who are they sending it to? No one.
It doesn't matter. So it's pretty much like a free for all. Everyone can do whatever they want. So I think it's come to the point that it has a head-on collision. It's probably affecting someone's pockets, and whoever's pockets is affecting now trickles down to making policy changes. That's pretty much how it works. Not a secret. So that's pretty much my report.
I think to curtail the sales of it, and also like the impact on traffic, but also the fires, because I know a lot of them are like the batteries that.
The city is gonna install approximately over 3,000 battery charging devices, stations throughout the city. But they're not just gonna be for just any moped, it's gonna be for a specific model.
Okay.
And so I'm assuming that they're gonna make you buy that specific model, you're gonna have to get a driver's license and so forth, so that they can, let's just say, curtail it and
Yeah.
manage it better,
Yeah.
the way that it has.
If you have a question from Wayne.
Less of a question, more of a comment. I think the action to control, refurbish, batteries is critical because it's been pointed out, I think, by the fire department on multiple times that all of these fires that we've had, some of them, leading to deaths, it's typically a function of, these refurbished batteries, and there are actually no guidelines for, how to do that. So, when someone is buying a refurbished battery or recharging these refurbished batteries, they really have no idea the quality of the, product they're working with. That, and there are, some, people who have created sort of home businesses where they are recharging them, but they're recharging, a dozen or more in an apartment and with, extension cords and other things, and it's just a recipe for fires and deaths. So focusing some legislation on controlling that, I think it's going to, save a lot of property damage and a lot of lives.
Yeah, remember the incident in 178th Street in Broadway? It's Broadway, when we had the e-bike that was charging outside the basement door, and it caught on fire, and I think it was a minor that passed away. So yeah, it's critical that they're trying to manage this e-bike use and the batteries. So again, thank you all thank you.
Thank you, Alessandra. So I'll hop back up on this agenda here. I'm not sure, Debbie, if you're able to go off mute now, if you'd like to give an update on traffic and transportation. If not, I can call on Mary for Committee of the Aging or Concerns of the Aging.
Thanks, Samari. I can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So, we had, we are going to be presenting a resolution at the general meeting. We had a discussion that was spurred by the council member's office. I'm sorry, my audio was like a little patchy. I couldn't quite, so if Eli might have covered some points on this, but just to recap, I apologize. After there's been an increase in like traffic fatalities and traffic violence to some extent around the city. Certainly we've experienced it here. And people remember like a particular tragic circumstances in 2022 when those two young men were just like walking on a sidewalk and they were both killed. And subsequent to that tragedy, the council member had done a walkthrough with the DOT, and they talked about Sherman Avenue in particular, where there's a lot of hot spots for accidents. There's a lot of hot spots for accidents. And so at that time, DOT, they did the walkthrough and they said, we can come back with some ideas about making this roadway more safe and etc. And that hasn't happened. And so in late December, the council member wrote a letter to it was directed towards DOT, but it mentioned both public safety, like NYPD stuff, and DOT. And I think they will do a follow-on letter for the sort of the NYPD aspect of it. And so they asked us to kind of, if we would have a discussion about it and, support their ask in a sense. So what we are presenting though, so we had a discussion, and basically a few of us felt strongly that, I didn't want the resolution to be, we're in support of the council member's letter, you know, end of story. Like I wanted it to be our resolution from our board on this topic, which has legs with DOT and the specific ask to create a proposal for Sherman Avenue in particular, and I'd love it for adjacent, you know, 207 as well. But also to have it go to NYPD for their part of it. Because there's not the sense that enforcement on some of these traffic violence kind of behaviors hasn't really increased with things getting so crazy on the roadways. And I think we've all seen it since the pandemic, more blown red lights, more people driving into oncoming traffic when they don't feel like waiting, more people with paper plates or no plates at all who just like, you know, and if you tend to pick one of them up, if you were doing enforcement, you tend to find other bad stuff. Anyway, so we will be bringing forth that resolution. I have a draft, but I've been sick. So I just, it wasn't something I was in shape to present to y'all tonight. But again, the idea would be that this would have kind of 2 recipients,
DOT
maybe
and
even 3. Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry.
So that's it.
Thank you, Debbie. We definitely look forward to reading a bit more and learning more at the general meeting.
Thanks,
Hope you feel-
Samari.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
I don't see any questions on the Zoom and then here in person. So thank you for sharing, Debbie. I'll pass it over to Mary for concerns of the aging. Thank you for waiting patiently, Mary.
No problem. Hi, everybody. Our January meeting, we had a presentation by Laura Whitehorn and on an organization that she co-founded many years ago, Release Aging People from Prison. And her presentation consisted of, among other things, talking about 2 bills that are currently in the Assembly and the Senate on people who have been in prison for more than 15 years, are age 55 and older, having a right to apply for parole. And because people actually age differently in prison, they age faster, and people die in prison because they continue to serve these very long sentences. And the idea is for rehabilitation, not just punishment. They're there obviously because they committed a crime, but to provide rehabilitation to allow them to reintegrate into society as a functioning member. So one of the things that we talked about was having a resolution to support these 2 bills. And that's what our reso is all about. And as I said, we'll be presenting that in further detail at the next meeting. We also again discussed the possibility of moving our meeting to a little bit earlier in the morning to allow committee members and attendees to start their day at the meeting rather than having it sort of be, mid-morning and that's, one of the reasons that, although I don't think it's the only reason personally for myself, but why people are not coming in person, the committee members included. I was the only one in person at this February meeting. It was at this January meeting rather. So I did speak to the staff the board staff about that possibility. And right now, it's really not possible because they're so short-staffed. Just working with Ebenezer and Paola, they're strapped and, really working very thin to cover, all of the meetings that go on with the board, and to have them, come in earlier and then spend a longer day is impossible for them right at this time. So, we'll be rediscussing that in the future after some people have been hired, we hope. The other thing that was announced at our meeting is Verna Arthur, who has been the outreach director for DIFTA in our area and to our community board, is retiring at the end of this month, and expressed our thank yous to her because she's been a wonderful source of a lot of information and very helpful with a lot of the things that we've been working on through the years. And the other thing that came up in our meeting is that people who have been on the board for a while remember Herb Harwitt, who was a longtime member of Community Board 12 and was a former chair of the Aging Committee. So we spoke for a few minutes, those that knew him and those that knew of him, about his wonderful presence on the board and his leadership. And we ended the meeting with an acclamation in Herb's memory. Our next meeting will be on February 1st, and we plan to have Barbara Bear do a presentation on home sharing. So that will be an interesting presentation. And we hope that some of you can join us at that meeting. And that is all I have for the moment, I think. Oh, no, one other thing, I'm sorry. On my notes. Sorry, too many papers here. There was a suggestion, actually from a member of my committee. It's been a while since we've had the naloxone training at the community board. And it's, coming up again because the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene is doing a presentation on January 24th for for one of the senior centers, but wondering if this might be a worthwhile presentation at a general meeting to have naloxone training again, because it's been quite a while and we have a lot of new members. So something, something to think about.
I'll definitely raise it for Kathy and then we'll circle back.
Right.
Thank you.
That's
I know, appreciate you sharing. I don't see any questions on the Zoom. I'm none here in person for now. Thank you. Yes. I don't see Steve here either for health. So I'll move down to Housing and Human Services. Are you okay to speak now, Maria?
Hi, Simari. Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Good evening, everyone. So yeah, earlier this month, we had our meeting. We did not have any presenters for the January meeting, but we did spend a little bit of time talking about some of the things that we'd like to focus on as a committee. And that was a really kind of fruitful discussion. A lot of it was surrounding kind of buckets of work, so to speak. So a bit on developments. So really looking at kind of upcoming and current developments, getting regular updates from them. And so different members of the committee will be leading on some of these strands of work. There's also been work on following up with respective agencies as it relates to the kind of capital and expense budget items, to kind of have that as an ongoing conversation and not just something that we're kind of scrambling to do when it's time to submit those rankings in September and October. And then also something that we're working on, and I know that Wayne is now offline, but I think I'd mentioned it before to some other members of the executive committee. We are looking as the Housing and Human Services Committee to put forward a resolution outlining what we would like to see as the, I guess, guidelines, so to speak, on new developments in CB12. And so it'll most likely come from the executive committee rather than housing. And so I'll be working closely with Wayne on that, and kind of just to give you a sense of what we're kind of calling it. Obviously, we're recognizing, you know, the astronomical rents, inflation, the exponential growth of new developments, you know, attempting to address the housing crisis. But ultimately, what we want to see is when these new developments come to the community, that they're actually engaging with us, that they're meeting with us as a community board, but also elected officials, community stakeholders, that the units are actually affordable and that it actually meets the AMI of our area, not of like, you know, the Upper West Side or other areas throughout the city. But also really thinking about the impact of these developments in our community. Are they following local law 78 and conducting a racial equity impact study? So those are the kinds of things that we want to see. So certainly welcome feedback and input from all of you, and it's something that will be presented at the February executive. In terms of a quick forward look for what we want to see for the coming month, we do want to follow up with the Public Advocate's Office on the worst landlords list that was published earlier, end of December, I think. So there's a little bit of work that we'd like to do with them, as well as following up with AEP, which is the Alternate Enforcement Program with HPD. I guess the other thing just to be aware of quickly, and then I'll kind of finish with this, is, as you know, we had a presentation from HPD in December for the scoping of their request for proposal that will launch in mid-spring. So they're building a new development at 4095 9th Avenue. It's kind of the old site of what I understand is used to be kind of Charter Communications. It's meant to be, I believe, 100% affordable, but ultimately they came to us and we'll be working with them as well as with Carmen de la Rosa's office to pull together some community stakeholder events between now and then and help really shape what the request for proposal looks like to really ensure that it's what we want as a community and not what they want. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariel. Definitely think it should be tailored to what's in the area, because I know sometimes looking at the what they consider affordable housing, I'm like, okay, for who? So thank you. Yeah.
Definitely not affordable for people from Washington Heights.
I'm like, not up here. Yeah, exactly. So thank you for that, and looking forward to hearing more about it next month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any questions here in the room. Did you want to expand on anything, or? I think we should be okay. So I'll pass it over to Youth and Ed. Domingo, I know you wanted to speak a little bit about a resolution here for Youth and Ed, if you're ready now. If not, I can pass it to Luana for Parks and Cultural Affairs, if you need a few more minutes. So I'll pass it off to Luana, who's here in person. Thank you for waiting patiently.
Yes. We need equitable, like who gets to go first next time?
I was going like on this, like the days of the meeting.
Yeah, oh, okay.
My bad.
So it's okay. Yeah, so good evening, everybody. So we had our weekly meeting. So for programming, you can just refer to the forthcoming minutes. But I have some interesting updates to share. We do have a resolution forthcoming with regards to the Morris Jamel Mansion and the article that came out in the New York Times. And the resolution basically addressed some asks from the community regarding outreach, as well as updates with renovation or the capital project of the exterior. So that's forthcoming for the general meeting. And then local reports, I'll just focus on the priorities right now and some positive developments. The New York Restoration Project reported that they have collected the lowest amount of needles in about 10 years, I believe. So that's very good news. In terms of needle usage, they've also partnered with On Point New York to help in that endeavor. Also, there is a poster contest from NOMA the Northern Manhattan Arts Association. This poster contest is posted on their website, noma.org, with regards to the Uptown Stroll. So the deadline is there. So everybody's encouraged to go to the website. Also, the Canoe Club received a grant from Carmen De La Rosa's office, and they are investing part of those monies in acquiring smaller canoes for children. So it's a slow season for parks because, of course, it is the winter. So there is a lot of indoor programming, but in terms of outdoor activities for reasons why we believe. Also, we're still waiting on an update for the public restroom in Inwood Hill Park from Monsignor Ket, because apparently during the project, they hit some kind of tree roots. So now they're navigating that. And then also another priority for parks is the rehabilitation of Amelia Gorman, which has started cleanups in the middle tier. The upper tier is completely open to the public, but the focus is that middle tier. So I know that our time is limited, so that's why I want to keep it super short and sweet.
For the highlights, thank you.
Highlights, yes.
And I think to add to that, thank you for sharing, that was
Mhm.
great. I think to add to that, I saw the No More poster contest.
Yes.
It's on the newsletter, like the week ahead at
Oh,
6:12.
yes.
So it's I
Thank
think the
you.
prize is like 1,500 for first
Oh,
place.
yeah, $1,500, yeah. There is monetary prizes
Oh, yeah.
involved,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
yes.
I'm so
And
excited.
this year's NOMA's Uptown Stroll is going to extend from 125th to 220.
Ooh,
So it's expanded
expanded.
now, the stroll. Yes, I think Marielle has a question.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks, Luana, for the update. Yeah, no, just very interesting to note which I think I heard you correctly, that On Point shared that it's what the lowest or they've collected the lowest number of needles that they have in the past 10 years.
I
mean,
believe so. I think it's 10 years, but I could be wrong. But I know that the key information is it's been the lowest number of needles in a long time.
in a long time, and these are kind of needles off the street, subway, that kind of stuff, correct? In
I believe
parks?
they focus because this is the New York Restoration Project and their
Okay.
focus is along the Sherman Creek shore.
Got it. Okay, that's super helpful. I mean, I wonder if, because there's obviously a misconception of, you know, or at least a sense that, kind of, needle usage is up and people are often kind of, complaining that they see a lot of needles in parks and things. So I wonder if there's a bit around encouraging them, maybe if they can do something in local media, just kind of stating that positive trend, to kind of say, hey, actually, look, things are changing and, there are services for those people to support them.
Yeah, I can definitely suggest that to them, but I can suggest that.
Like the patch, Manhattan Times. something
Right,
like that.
yeah.
Mhm. Thank you, Marielle. And
Michelle has a question. Hi, Michelle.
Yes. Hi, Luana. Speaking of needles, I was at the 191st 1 Street tunnel yesterday with my toddler, and he almost stepped on a couple of needles that were in the tunnel. And I was wondering who's responsible for the cleanup of that tunnel?
I can answer that question. I think I can answer that, not necessarily a parks question, but from a social media perspective, I know that when those concerns come up, people tag Carmen De La Rosa, and she has sent sanitation to do with that particular tunnel cleanups. So I think if you reach out to Jamila or her office, she'll get on it and contact sanitation. I don't know.
Thank you.
Just as a kind reminder, the New York Restoration Project, they work around Sherman Creek and Sherman Cove, right? So when they provided their update in partnership with On Point, that is that area that they take care of, in addition to a little bit of High Bridge Park, right? For example.
Mm-hmm.
So I can ask with specificity next time, what is their purview? But I know for a fact that the subway tunnel, Carmen De La Rosa has taken care of that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim.
It turns out that technically that tunnel is a city street and DOT is responsible for cleaning. No, let me think. No, it's a street, so I think it's DOT or maybe even sanitation, but it sounds like, you know, Carmen knows exactly how to reach them, but there is someone, see, the confusion, it's not the MTA because it's actually a city street. So I believe DOT is responsible for cleaning it, but it sounds like Carmen's on top of it and that's very good to hear. But I wanted to give you that little tidbit.
Thank you. And I'll also add, I've heard this discussion, like who owns that space, come up a lot. So thank you, Jim. But I'll definitely share with Ebenezer. Maybe he can raise it at the district meeting this month.
Right.
District cabinet, my bad.
What was, you were talking about a restroom. The one at Audubon Playground?
But Inwood Hill Park?
Is it?
No, Inwood Hill Park.
Right, no, well, I'm
Yeah.
asking about, there was another one that was supposed to be put, I think it was an Audubon Playground. Did that ever happen? Because that was gonna be part of a pilot program where it's supposed to be a they were gonna have a non-gendered bathroom for family caregivers, that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
but that's part of the ranking though. That was part of a ranking project.
No,
this
that was
is
something
something-
that Park said they were going to
The
do.
one on
I just didn't know when
169?
they were gonna do it.
The one
Yeah,
on 169?
it doesn't ring a
It's
bell.
over there. Okay.
It doesn't ring a bell, so when the minutes come out, we can refer to it, but I was under the impression that what you're talking about was part of a ranking project. This is something that's happening right now.
Okay,
I could be wrong, but yeah, this doesn't,
Yeah.
what you're saying doesn't ring a bell in the.
I think the one
Parks
you're-
Update.
might be thinking of Javits Playground, but we can,
Yeah.
we can look back.
Circle back. Thank you. And I think, Jim, that's an old hand, right? I'll put it down for you. Oh, thank you. So we'll pass it back. Thank you, Luana, for that
Thank
share.
you.
Very great. Thank you, Jim.
Short and
Uh,
sweet.
So we'll pass it back to Domingo.
Yeah, my apologies for not being in person. I have a big headache today. And I do agree, Simari. So the people who are there should go first, always. All right. So this month, we
That could be on Zoom today.
we started off the new year with a resolution in regards to small classrooms, and had an organization present on this legislation, what enforcement meant, and how the state is not doing enough to be able to hold the DOE accountable in regards to maintaining a certain level of classrooms. So we've submerged ourselves in a lot of informing ourselves on what are good policies that we have to educate ourselves as a committee, what are some legislations that we have to be able to keep an eye out for. Small classrooms is one of them, and so this month we'll be presenting a resolution to the general board around small classrooms, and basically calling on the mayor to not cut the budget, as that will also have an impact on small classrooms and children's education. And up in the upcoming months, we have next month we have AQE, which is a educational advocacy organization, and they will be presenting on the impact the COVID funding. So the COVID funding has ended, and the impact that will have in our district, ranging anywhere from the extra nurses to the paraprofessionals that were being paid from that funding. So we'll be digging deeper and learning a bit more around that, and what are some of the impacts that are forthcoming to the district, followed by a conversation also with so Radio Hotel. There was a very interesting situation that happened. So now there's another elementary school that's looking to be able to put their charter school within that building. It's called American Dream. So next month we'll have the principal present. But besides that, like what we're pushing forward as a committee is just making sure that we're on top of legislation, and that we're able to provide an objective resolution that really tries to amplify any concerns or make sure that our community is not necessarily negatively impacted by anything that's coming forward. But besides that, it was a smooth meeting, and we have a resolution that I sent to the office, so they should be disseminating that soon.
Thank you, Domingo. And I know, just thinking about the trends with like the grade bands, a lot of like our elementary, middle schools stay within the area. Like more so we're working on retaining the high school grade band. So I think that's something prominent to note with another elementary school charter proposing to come to the area.
Yes, whoever's interested, what I feel is going to happen is the congestion on Amsterdam, and yeah, so I just look forward. Whoever has any concerns or wants to voice anything, they're on the agenda for next month.
Thank you. I see Marielle has her hand raised.
Thank you, Domingo. Very helpful update, and thanks for the work that you and the committee do. Really good to hear that kind of the committee's also following the air quote restored budget cuts from that have proposed by the mayor's office. So thank you, and certainly want to kind of keep an eye on that. But I actually had a question. Wanted to know if the committee has been doing anything or would consider looking into the cases of migrant children. I unfortunately had on my commute, and I'm sure you've probably all may have seen this or experienced this, a lot of migrants are now selling candy. Newly arrived migrants and asylum seekers are now selling kind of candy and snacks and things in the subway. And the reason I raised it is because I was quite alarmed at the large number of school-aged kids that seem to be selling candy during the school day. And then, there's kind of some articles about, some families, are afraid to enroll their children. There's obviously a lot of different dynamics there. It's very complicated, but I just wanted to see if your committee's doing or kind of thinking about some of that stuff, but happy to take the conversation offline. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking on that subject, there's so much going on, particularly with newly arrived families, for the simple fact that I feel like this administration is basically trying to scapegoat and put a lot of responsibility on them that might in other scopes be perceived as mismanagement at the city level, and we got to be very cautious when we try to put the burden on a group, like constantly scapegoating a group of people who are just seeking a better opportunities. But one thing I do know, Marielle, is like there's so many changes happening when it comes to that group. There's so many families being moved from shelter to shelter that I feel like that also contributes to the kids not being able to find a much more stable educational process, and that's something to take into consideration as well. Like a lot of these contracts are up and the city's not necessarily renewing these shelter contracts. And what you have right now is just families that are going from school to school that might that creates like a certain level of destabilizes these kids, and unfortunately we understand that the needs are real. So I'm not trying to justify it, but there's so many circumstances that could contribute to that. And I feel like not only as a city, but a city of people who have migrated. Well, everybody in this country, if you're not indigenous, migrated here, whatever classification you choose, that's on you. But I just feel like it's very important to note that, like how you have a vulnerable community being scapegoated, and I would love to have a conversation about that. I'm just trying to figure out what angle to take, because it's so robust, it's so much, so just figuring the right angle, and that's something that we could potentially collaborate, Marielle, because I do feel like that's also
overlaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. We'll follow up, and I'm doing some work offline on this, and I can kind of fill you in on the details offline. Thanks.
For sure.
And I think Debbie, last question here.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, there was, and maybe people saw it, but there was an interesting article, like a long piece in the Times about like the crisis in absenteeism, and then like how the approach to kind of dealing with that has changed. So we used to like it used to be like a legal thing, like people could, parents could get in trouble, whatever, and about the evolution of like getting under the issues. But like it's staggering post-COVID, like how uniform this issue is, like everywhere, of like the percentage of kids that are just not, that have chronic absenteeism. So I think like on that aspect of what Marielle raised, like I don't know, just like there's so many things with kids and post-COVID, and then, you know, and I definitely get like, and then that gets reflected through migrants who are under, you know, obviously living with all sorts of instabilities. But if people are interested, I found it really interesting on that topic.
Thank you. I know chronic absenteeism has been not trending, but a buzz for a while. So I'm definitely gonna do some back-end research on how that's being tracked with the asylum seekers. But like Marielle and Domingo mentioned, you know, it's very robust, it's very layered, and I think it overlaps between the city agencies. So definitely more to work on there. And I think just covering here for licensing updates. There are no more questions here. Just wanted to share, I know Isidro's not able to join us.
And Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. We'll be saying that until next month. But thank you for the updates there. So covering for licensing here, I think not much to note. We did have 11 items on the agenda. 4 of them were withdrawn. So we'll dive a little bit deeper during general. There was only one that we voted no on. There was no one present. I believe there was not a complete application. I think the only noteworthy share that I wanted to say for licensing, and it's something that we've been working on, but we had no one present from 33rd or 34th precincts. So if any of you all, you know, have the connection there, I'm not sure if they attend other committees, but I know that that's something we've been working on for a few months now. That's what I wanted to share. Hey, Mary. Did you have a question, Mary?
I just wanted to say of note that there's a new commander at the 33rd precinct, so there may be, you know.
They're maybe going through some shifts, so we're definitely touch base
Yeah,
with them.
but you know, I would reach out. His name is Christian Hernandez.
What was it? No, no, I'll definitely circle back there. But just noting, because I know that's something the public usually comments on when we're in the meeting, asking for their presence. And it's very important to have their feedback also for like any 311s, noise complaints, violent incidents, etc. So very worth having them present. I think we'll hear more from health and business during the general meeting. But for now, we'll refer to the minutes when they're shared. And I'll segue over to task force updates. Did you want to share anything?
I'm sure we're meeting tomorrow evening and
For bylaws.
for bylaws. Oh, sorry, thank you.
No,
And we're getting near the end. So we'll be talking about committee purview and committee structure and that sort of thing in our next meeting.
Thank you. So definitely if you all are interested or have any feedback there, bylaws will be meeting tomorrow night. I think to tag in for Nobles here for cannabis task force. So we did have our meeting January 2nd. We are going to be moving forward during our February meeting, reviewing, I believe it's 4 applications that are in queue, 3 or 4. We did make some adjustments to our application just to include some questions for micro business applicants because we did have one applying here in the vicinity for micro business, but more so retail use. So that's the update for cannabis, and we'll be meeting again the first Monday in February. So if you all would like to give any comments or feedback or share that information with any local residents that are interested in applying, we'll be more than happy to have them. I think something that they keep raising during the meetings is making sure we're sharing the information with legacy owners in the area, just to make sure they have some skin in the game there and moving forward with the application process. Or on the right foot there. So I think that covers it for updates. I'm just gonna write in here into the chat. Our next general meeting is on the 23rd. So we were talking about it here since the 4th Tuesday of the month, just in case there's 5 weeks that month, similar to this month, January. So it'll be at Vagelos. I'm not sure how to say it. You know, my Spanglish. Okay. So it's 171st Street and Haven. So see you all there. I believe it's the same meeting space we had there before, like that auditorium on the 2nd floor. So we are working on connecting with Columbia Presbyterian Hospital, a little bit of both there, to identify spaces moving forward, just to make it more conducive for sound and accessibility for all of our members. So definitely a work in progress. I think that covers it. So unless you all have anything else to add or pitch in or comment. Can't see you, Brian, if you're okay.
Like for announcements or no? Are we
Do you
there?
have another announcement?
Well, I
Yeah.
just to note, I don't think.
Think old business, new business.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if the Borough President's Office has mentioned it, but I know applications are coming up soon. I think they're open now, but they're due mid to
If you
reapply
have to
or
renew
apply for
or
community board.
reapply, yeah.
Okay.
I think February 23rd
They
or something.
did.
It's on the Borough President's website.
Yeah.
But I know that there's some people that they apply every 2 years and every,
Yeah.
like, how do I swear that I apply like every year now. I've only been in this community board for 2 years.
I think
So-
they give us the list.
So yeah, it should be every other.
Right,
It's
yeah.
every 2 years we have to
Okay.
apply, but they'll usually give us a list. I'll make sure to flag it for
Okay.
Kathy, just to make sure we give any updates. But I did see it on their, whatchamacallit.
Yeah, it was like at the top of the banner thing.
Yeah, hold on, I'm trying to see. It was in one of their emails, but, okay, community boards. Let me just double check, just to give you all so they are open, apply today. Okay, when do they close? Maybe if I click the link, it'll tell me. It's on job form. Oh, February 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll definitely, circle back with a list of who has to reapply.
Okay,
But it's due Friday, February 23rd, no later than 5 p.m.
all right. So I need to know if I have to reapply.
Yeah. I think since I'll be there this week, I'll try to get an update there in person.
Yeah. Debbie.
Hey,
has
Debbie.
her hand up.
Yeah, since we have had a number of appointments to vacancies, just correct me if I'm wrong, for those people, I think for your partial term, you're on the schedule of the person whose vacancy you replaced. And then you have to run for your full 2-year terms. You could end up running like twice in short order, unless I'm wrong. And you just have to just reapply during the next cycle. Jim, I think, is about to clarify.
Not too sure, but I'll circle back. And Jim has more.
Yeah, thank you. Some people, as Debbie mentioned, to fill a vacancy are initially appointed for 1 year. There's also a list available on the Borough President's website of all community board members. And that list tells you not only who appointed you, either the Borough President or, with the suggestion of your council person, but it also tells when your term is up. So I believe you can just go to that list at the Borough President's office and look up CB12, and then you'll know everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim, for clarification. So you were not too far off then. You were right. But I'll just circle back with any feedback I get when I'm there in person. I put the date and time that the applications are due in the chat. So again, it's Friday, the 23rd of February at 5 p.m. So just in case if you wanted to do some research before then. So I think that covers it. Thank you all for sharing and for keeping the agenda going in Kathy's absence. We'll circle back with some more information as far as the RSVP for the tour and all that. But feel free to reach out to the office if you have the resos that are coming forward for general meeting. Did I adjourn or you have to?
Oh, motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, Jim has a question.
I think
Is
that's
that an
all I
old
have.
hand? No, he's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
Second.
guys. Okay, so we're adjourned. Thank you all for joining in, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Samar.
Thank you. Feel better, Debbie?